Shalom, everybody. Rabbi Edelstein here with this week's installment of Rabbi E in 3, brought to you as always by MEOR DC. Find us on our Facebook page or at MEOR.org. Learn about our programs. Apply for the Maimonides Fellowship. Students, we already have about half of our applications for that great 10-week program in the spring semester at GW University. I'm coming to you right now from GW. It reminds me down here of a verse early in the Torah, in the book of Bereshit, Genesis. It says that the earth was astonishingly empty, tohu vavohu. Well, Kogan Plaza, where I'm recording this, is astonishingly empty, tohu vavohu. But it's a nice break. We miss the students. We miss the bustle and the noise and the learning and the wisdom that I try to have with the interaction with Jewish students. But I'm enjoying the quiet as well. So, this week's Torah portion, Vayigash, the second to last in the book of Genesis, is a very important Torah portion because it's a transition period. It's the period leading up to the Egyptian exile. Joseph is reconciled with his brothers after their division and story, which you should look at in the previous couple of Torah portions. And the elderly patriarch Jacob, Yaakov, and the whole extended family leaves the land of Canaan, to go down to Egypt, beginning the period of what would be the Egyptian exile. A period that had been prophesied to Abraham, Avram Avinu, hundreds of years before, at the covenant between the parts. So it's the bringing down of Jacob's family into Egypt and setting up the transition to the next book of the Torah, in a couple weeks, the book of Shmos, the book of Exodus. As Jacob is about to go down to Egypt, he's frightened, not because of the physical danger as much as the spiritual danger. For a nice Jewish patriarch, for a nice Jewish family, what Egypt represents. The spiritual danger of the lure of that decadent culture for the Jewish people, or the budding Jewish people. So he's scared. But God comes to him in a vision in Beersheba, where he is on the way out, and God reassures him and says, don't be scared of going down to Egypt. And then he says something that I want to talk about that has relevance for our lives. He says, I will descend with you to Egypt. Anochi ered imcha Mitzrayim, and I'll bring you back up. Don't worry. I'm going down with you and I'll bring you back up. Rabbi Lopiansky, the head of the yeshiva in Silver Spring, Greater Washington, a deep and brilliant person, a mentor of mine, explains the following. I'll try to do justice to it. I can't do it the way he does, but what does it mean that God goes down to Egypt with Jacob? And it's a bigger idea, the Shekhinah, the divine presence accompanying the Jewish people in exile. That's the bigger idea. What does that mean? Why does it have to be that way? I mean, I don't know. You drop off your kids at at Dave and Buster's. That's his game room. Why do you have to be with them? You say, "I'll pick you up later. You'll be fine there. You'll get through it. I'll pick you up later." Okay? Why doesn't God just deposit us in Egypt and pick us up later? And more so, what does it mean He's down there? If it's a period of exile, galut, by definition, that means God's presence is not there. So what does it mean? The Shekhinah is there. It's the big idea. And the basic thing I want to share with you is it means in times of exile of our people or personal difficulty and darkness and trials that God sends us all the time. The idea is not that we just get through a difficult period and it's like an empty period to get to the salvation at the end. No. The difficulty, the striving to stay true and spiritual and connected to God in darkness is a building process itself. That's what it means. God is with you there in the darkness. What you do there, even your struggles, even when there doesn't seem to be illumination, that's your connection to God that you preserve is His presence there, so to speak. I didn't do justice to it, but that's the idea. We have difficulties, hang in there. And stay strong and realize that those difficulties are also, not only will there be, God willing, a salvation later, but even the difficulties there, when the salvation comes, we'll realize that how we grew or endured in the time of exile was part of the redemption itself in a spiritual sense. Have a wonderful Shabbos.